everyone, what's going on? It's Friday. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in to another video. So today I want to talk about my first 12 months driving a HGV. How did I find it? How did I make the transition? You know, how smooth did I find the transition between being a car driver slash van driver to then going on to driving a class 2 heavy goods vehicle. So I'm going to be telling you guys a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, just to keep you a bit safer while you're out and about, and also how to help you keep your stress levels down, because with any driving job, whether you're driving a van delivering stuff or you're a milkman or whatever, you know, when you're driving about, you can get in a little bit of mither on the roads, and obviously people have their own rules on the road, so it's getting used to that, things like that. And I'm just going to tell you guys how I got on with it, because for a new driver, you know, it's a bit daunting enough, you know, trying to sort of figure out where you stand with the truck, because a lot of people can come into the job with quite a big ego and get humbled very quickly because they've got no skill to back up that ego. They've just got the I can do attitude, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to have, but just know your strengths and weaknesses. You know, and I'm going to tell you guys, you know, how I found it, what was the first truck I drove, you know, the size, things like that, how I got used to it, like I say. And I'm also going to tell you guys who I passed my test with, because I think those guys deserve you know, a good shout out, good positive one, because they looked after me really well. And I know a lot of people who've passed with them. At least 6 people I've worked with at a previous job all passed with this company, and even my dad passed with this company. In a time when the dinosaurs ruled the earth. It wasn't that long ago, but you know, yeah, about 20 odd year ago, my dad did his test with him. You know, family run company, really helpful, can't fault him. So we're going into that as well. So just to kick it off, what was the first truck I did drive? So when I passed my test, I was still on the Beavertail Transit picking up scrap cars. And after probably 3 months of me having my heavy goods licence, the gaffer finally, you know, let me loose in a skip wagon. It was a 6-wheeler, so I had a tag axle at the back. So for those of you who don't know what a tag axle is, it's just where a set of wheels at the back will come off the ground via a switch, air operated. So when you've got no load on, you know, there's no need to be having all the tyres on the floor for maximum contact, maximum grip, and obviously load spreading. And then when you've got a full load on, put the tag axle down, and that supports the weight a lot better. But we like to have a tag axle on skip wagons, especially long ones, because if you have a tag axle at the very back, which I did, it makes the turning circle smaller, so you can turn a lot easier rather than having all your axles down. So that was the first truck. It was a Volvo FM9, I think. I can never remember which truck. I'm sure it was an FM9. It was a Volvo anyway. It was a decent wagon. It had a 4x4 split box. Again, a lot of people sort of panic when they know they're going out in a manual wagon, but I've got a video on how to use a 4x4 split box. It is very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, clutch in, press the button, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, it's that easy. So I've got a video on that. It's not the best video, I'll be honest, but it just shows you the basic fundamentals of how to use them. So yeah, first wagon I used was manual. I passed my test in an automatic, but because I've got a manual car driving licence, that enabled me to drive a truck, whether it's manual or auto. So when I got out in the skip truck, I noticed quite quickly that my width perception was off, and I mean off. I was constantly grazing the near side curb. I went out with one of the lads I worked with at the time called Kev. You know, we'd be chatting away like we do, having a laugh. He's a good friend of mine, Kev, and we'd be sat there chatting, and all of a sudden he'd go, "Curb, curb." I'm like, "What's up?" What? And the next thing, you just feel it sort of suck into the curb, and the steering goes a bit heavy, and you nudge the curb. And that was one of my pet peeves with myself for the first sort of 2 weeks of me driving a truck. I just couldn't get my head round that it wasn't as wide as I thought it was. You know, I'm bloody trying to stay away from traffic on the outside of me, so I'm getting right over here, but not realising that I was too far over. But it happens, and I got, you know, I corrected it rather quickly. And yeah, once I'd done that, once I'd got the gist of it and thought, you know, I know what I'm doing now, it just became sort of second nature then. Also, somebody gave me a tip once, said if you look at the right side of your steering wheel and try and keep that in line with the white line in the road, you should find yourself with a nice gap either side of your wagon. Like now, if I look at the right side of my steering wheel, you see the white line running pretty much parallel, well not parallel, along with it, and then look in my mirrors, I've got a nice even gap either side before I'm at the curb or the white line. So that's how I sort of gauged where I was. Doesn't work on every road, don't just gauge that on that, because you could be on a very narrow road and that could get you into trouble. But just as a basic, you know, guideline when you're on the public highways, when you're on, you know, everyday normal sized roads, that's the way I'd used to look and think, right, well I'm there, and then check my mirrors, yeah I'm okay, and then you just crack on then. Well, yeah, you know, it did take me a good few weeks to feel very comfortable in the truck, and I mean, probably, I say a good few weeks, it was probably about 2 months before I felt really confident enough to be not worrying about knocking into the curb and things like that. And I'm only being honest, you know, that was one of my things that I did. Everything else was okay, you know, my reversing was okay, you know, and me taking my time doing things. And, you know, guys, I just want to say that is a really important thing that any new trucker does, or, you know, anyone coming into the industry. Take your time. You know, you're going to get lads in the yard giving you banter. We all could have been there and back 3 times by the time it took you to do one job. But don't take it like that. I used to take it like, oh, I'm shit, you know, the gaffer's going to get annoyed at me. But he'd be more annoyed at me if I come back with his truck in half and going, oh, well, I got the job done quick, didn't I? You know, you don't want the job doing quick if you're not going to do it efficiently. You know, and the way you get quick and efficient is by taking your time, getting used to your wagon, getting used to your customers, getting used to where the jobs are located, and it is just like a constant learning thing. You know, my dad says he's been driving wagons getting on for 30 years now, and you know, he even says he learns every day. There's always something you can learn every day. So just take your time, don't rush around. You'll find yourself in the morning coming in and taking ages doing your 15-minute walk around check or your 10-minute check. Don't be a 5 and drive guy where you come in and that's all right, because you'll get called out by your own wagon one day because you'll miss something really stupid, and either your gaffer will see it or another colleague will see it. And believe me, truck drivers can be as bad as hairdressers for being chatty Cathys. So people see you doing stuff and you know you're being half a job Harry, 5 and drive, you'll get grassed on. Someone will say he's not even checked that, look, he's pissing out hydraulic oil there, or he's got an egg in his tyre, or his inner tyre's on its rim there. And I know that because I've seen people do it who I've worked with, you know, we were deemed to be good lads and they all got along together. Oh, but believe me, if a lot of people these days, if they can get themselves in the limelight by throwing you in the shit pile, they will do. And that's just in any sort of job. I do apologise for the sun, guys. But like I say, if you take your time, you're not going to have these problems. You're not going to have sort of, you know, you're not going to have lots of accidents. If anything, your first year driving's probably your safest year, because it's when you're in your shell the most. It's when you've been driving for 2-3 years, you start getting a bit cocky, you start getting a bit ahead of yourself, and oh, I can do that, I know this, I know that, and you'll get humbled very quickly again. Ask me how I know, because I've done it myself. You know, my second year driving a truck, I had a couple of bangs, and it was literally just through me rushing, trying to be a super trucker. You know, I dropped a rolling off bin on my back lights because I didn't open my door, get out and check and see if the hook had properly gone under. So as I've drawn the hook up like that, the bin's just slipped off, bang, straight on the back lights. But it happens. But that's it. When you get a bit too confident, you get humbled very quickly, because it's the small things that you forget to check that come and bite you in the ass. Like I say, I do apologise about the sun, guys, but it's the best I can do. So that's a good bit of advice. Just take your time. Another bit of advice I'll give any new drivers is for when you're securing loads, and this is a vital piece of advice for any newer driver, because not a lot of drivers will tell you this, and I don't even think they cover it in the CPC. But when you're strapping a load up with ratchet straps or chains with a ratchet, always make sure when you secure your load, you put the ratchet itself on the near side of the truck or the passenger side. And the reason why we do that is if your straps come loose while you're driving, you're not going to have to get out and be stood on the hard shoulder in between your truck and oncoming traffic. You know, you're gonna be having Arctics or the wagons blowing past you. Whereas if you put them on the near side, you can quite safely exit your vehicle, walk round the near side of the wagon where you're in between your wagon as a barrier and the actual safety barrier, a lot safer, and then you can tighten your straps back up and be on your way with peace of mind that nobody's going to come and run into you or knock you over, or you're going to get sucked under an oncoming wagon. You know, it's just little things like that that I've got taught, that they are literal lifesavers. You know, always put whatever you use, whichever part of the apparatus tightens or secures, make sure it's on that side. The amount of drivers I see with low, you know, pallets of bricks on and stuff like that, and you know, they've got all the ratchet straps secured on the offside. And I'm not one of them people who's an interfering like Norris. I'm not one of them. But I do want to say to him, how come you don't put them on that side? But sometimes you just don't want to come across as a bit of a sausage, do you? You know, you're only trying to help, but some people don't take it as help. They take it as like you're trying to criticise them, especially if they're an older driver, because then they look at you like, you know, I'll probably use more screen wash than you can use diesel. What you're talking about? But it's just one of them. Some people will accept your help, some of them won't. So another bit of advice I can give you guys is, when you come into this job, don't come to work in the morning empty-handed. And what I mean by that is, bring water with you, bring some drinks with you. You know, when you go shopping with your missus and the kids or whatever on a weekend, make sure you spend a good 10 minutes going round Aldi or Tesco, wherever it is you shop, getting yourself a couple of, you know, bits to snack on during the day, because you never know, you could get a blowout, you could break down in the middle of nowhere, but you could have £1 million in your bank. But what good's that to you if there's no shops nearby? What good's that to you if you've got to stay with your wagon while the recovery man comes, or the tyre man comes, or whatever, you know, the mechanic comes? Always be ahead of yourself, because I've been caught out in the middle of nowhere with no food, no drink, no nothing, and I tell you what, it was probably one of the worst 5-6 hours of my life, just sat there, you know, bored out my head, nothing to eat, nothing to drink. I was dehydrated, tired, hungry, and not in a very good mood. You know, and I don't want any of you guys doing that. So just, you know, think about yourself. I am a very selfless person as a person. At home, my missus and my kids always come first. And I know a lot of people say, well, no, you should put yourself first, and, you know, then you can look after everyone else. But that's just how I've always been. That's how my dad is. I've always seen my dad and my granddad sort of take care of everyone else, and they'll sit there with nothing or whatever. That's the way I've been brought up. You know, I'm the dad, I'm the breadwinner in the house. My partner does work, she just started working, but, you know, I'm proud to do that. But you do find yourself more often than not forgetting about yourself. Then you come to work, you forgot your stuff, you're in a bad mood, and then you're not going to have a good day at work. So always try and think about yourself. You're not being selfish, you know, you're being thoughtful towards yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I say, I always make sure, I mean, I've pretty much munched all my stuff. It's Friday, so it's my weekend off, so I'll be going shopping with the kids tomorrow or whatever while she's in work, and I'll be stocking up on what we need for the family. But I'll also have a separate bag for myself to bring to work with a load of bottles of water in, some nice juice, you know, and some crisps, and, you know, some, like, I don't know, some snack bars, stuff like that, because you can put them behind your seat, they don't go bad quick, and, you know, sat there in traffic, a little bit peckish, there you go, straight away. You're not stopping at the shop every 5 minutes, 5 is 10 is, you know, this, that and the other. I've done all that. You know, when I first started driving trucks, I literally lived at newsagents. Was like, go in, get a pack of fags, there's a tenner, and then you get you know, a couple of packs of crisps, there's £2. Before you know it, you spend 20 quid, and if you do that every day, it's 100 quid a week. Now, if you went shopping and bought yourself all those items in, you know, in multi-packs, you won't spend anywhere near that. So that's just another bit of advice to give you guys. But anyway, going back on to, you know, how I sort of got myself into it. Like I say, I just took my time. There's not loads to tell you guys, to be honest. There's not loads to say. It's not a big secret. It's not, you know, some magic formula to be a good truck driver. You've just got to be consistent, you know, be happy in your job, and also just remember that you are driving a big heavy vehicle. When you pass your test in them big 12, 15 tonners, whatever they are, the box wagons, you know, they've not really got a load in the back of them. They're not heavy. So you can drive that around and think, that's dead easy that, you know, it handled well, it handled a lot better than I thought it would. Yeah, but when you're running at the full 32 tonne or whatever it is you can run at, it's a totally different ball game. The way the truck stops, the way the truck turns, the way the truck accelerates, everything changes when you've got a load on. You know, it's like you say, your daily checks as well. You'll get quicker at them. Don't worry if when you first start doing them you're taking 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It doesn't matter as long as you're checking that truck properly. And if the boss has got a problem with it, you just say, well, I'm checking it properly. And until I can check it properly in a fast time, then you're going to have to put up with me doing this. A lot of drivers are too polite, and you know, I'm not being funny, your gaffer wants you out on the road, he wants you out in that truck earning money. But if you went out and you'd rushed and you'd missed something, it's your fault, it's your licence. That's why they make you do the CPC, because it's a certificate of professional competence. You're not just a car driver, you know, wake up, roll out of bed, still tired out your head, and then go and fire your car up and jump in it. You know, these things need a lot of care and attention. I know a lot of people don't take it that seriously, but it is bloody serious. You do need to check your wheel nuts. You know, I literally check my wheel nuts every morning, and that's because I know a driver who lost the wheel on the M6, and it's just the story give me the shivers. I thought, I don't want that to happen to me. So every morning, I have my torch out, and I'm checking for watermarks behind my wheel nuts. So I don't have indicators on my wheels. I've got the fancy aluminium wheels on my truck, so I've just got the chrome covers. So when we have them, when I say indicators, I mean them little, you ever see them on trucks, they'll be orange or yellow or fluorescent green, and they're like little, look like big guitar picks, they all point to each other like that. Now what they're for is for if your wheel nuts move, obviously they're going to point away from each other, they're going to move, and that's why you have those indicators, to see if your wheel nuts have moved. But like I say, when you work for a company where they take pride in the fleet and they like to have the best of everything, you know, they like to have the shiny chrome blingy wheels on the truck. A lot of them don't like you putting the indicators on, they want the chrome caps on. And that way, the only way to check your wheel nuts is to remove them caps and have a good way up by eye. Yeah, it takes a bit longer, but that's just a part of having fancy wheels on your truck. You've got the normal steelers, you've got the indicators, you can just weigh it up by eye. Like I say, you've got these caps on, you've got to remove them. Like I say, you don't want one of these wheels coming off. Not being funny, I ride a motorcycle, so that stories like that scare me. You know, imagine riding up the motorway and seeing a wheel off a wagon this big bouncing towards you. You're going to be chewing holes in your duds, aren't you? So, like I say, take your time, guys, with everything. Your checks, your driving, your reversing. Don't let people rush you. Don't be a pushover either. That's another bit of advice I'll give you. When you go into yours, you got someone, come on mate, come on, hurry up, and you've just passed. Tell them you just passed. Stick your head out the window and say, hang on a minute mate, hold your horses, just passed my test, I'm doing it at my own pace. Alright, thank you for watching me in, but just chill out a minute, don't try and rush me. I'm not good like that. Just tell them straight, no, don't rush me. So if you don't tell people, they don't know. They might just think you know you're being funny with them, or you're just a genuine slow person. But if you tell people, hey pal, I've only just passed my test, just give me a break, will you? Let me do it in my own time, let me do it properly, let me do it safely. Let me keep me and you guys safe, alright? If you want me to start putting my foot down, I can't promise you'll be going home for your tea tonight. You say that to someone, I'll tell you now, they'll go, yeah, alright mate, you do you. I'll stand here, well back away from you. Always just tell people, don't be frightened of saying, hey, I'm not quite comfortable with that, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with that. So, last thing I'm going to say on the video now is the company that I passed my test with, which is Stockport LGV. So I think those guys definitely deserve a mention because of the second to none service they gave me. You know, I'd been shopping around, I'd been into a few driving schools, and you know, they weren't all bad, but just some of them seemed to want to help you more than others. Stockport LGV went above and beyond. You know, I went in there with my driving licence for my car, I had no provisional entitlement, I had nothing, I didn't know what I was doing. I just went in there, and the lady in there, I do apologise, I forget her name. I remember my instructor, he was called Matt, and he was absolutely brilliant. So if you do go there, and Matt's still there, he's a wicked guy to have teaching you how to drive a wagon, because he's just a very down-to-earth, direct person. You know, he'll tell you if you're doing something wrong, but in a way where you don't feel a prat for doing it. So when I walked in there, I gave her my license and said, you know, I've come here to do my class 2, and you know, what's the process? She says, oh, have you got your entitlement? I said, no. She says, right, we need one of these forms. She had all the forms there that you needed, you know, filled it out with me, made sure I knew what I was filling out properly, sent it off for me. I got my license back, and then I was in doing my CPC theory, my hazard perception and my theory test all in the same day. Then a couple of days after that, I did a 4-hour driving lesson, and then the day after that I did another 4-hour driving lesson, and then the following week I did my CPC practical, the show me tell me, and then we had a break of about an hour, so I had a brew, something to eat, and then I went in and did my module 4 driving test, and I passed it first time with him, you know, and I was absolutely over the moon. And the good thing about Stockport LGV as well is you can actually do your CPC practical with those guys. So it was actually the lady who runs the company who did my CPC with me, so you know, and I got 100% on it, which because I put the effort in, because I revised and I wanted to, you know, show myself that I could, you know, I'm not the most academic person, you know, but I put the work into that revision, and it come out mint, because I got 100%, and I was really happy with that. Like I say, those guys deserve a mint mention, you know, because they just I can't thank them enough anyway, is what I'm trying to say before I start bloody tongue twizzling myself. But yeah, if you want a good reputable driving school to use, I'd go with these guys. I mean, I don't know what the crack is with their availability at the moment, obviously with all this bloody pandemic stuff still sort of lingering, but you know, I got through with them in 2 weeks. It was less than 2 weeks from being a car driver to being a truck driver, you know, and I did find it a bit nerve-wracking at the start, but you know, once you've done a few days, you get used to it fairly quickly, and then you're just on your way then, learning every day. So if you want a good driving school to go to, Stockport LGV, you know, I can't recommend them enough, because he just, like I say, above and beyond. Didn't have a problem with them. I've not got a bad word to say about them. Check out the reviews on Google, nobody's got a bad word to say about them. So that pretty much wraps it up for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've not already subscribed, please smash the subscribe button, hit like, and drop me a comment if you want. You know, if you want me to do any sort of videos to do with anything towards trucks, you got any ideas, drop them in the comment box, and I'll be sure to get some videos uploaded. I will be uploading one about what's going on in the HGV industry at the moment, with all the wages and all the bloody daft jobs we're being offered and golden handshakes. So hopefully that'll be uploaded tonight when I finished editing it. And I'm also going to do some bike footage this weekend, because we're going to have some nice weather and I'm getting out on Sunday. But anyway, have a nice weekend, guys. Drive safe. It is Foot Down Friday, but just remember, take your time. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good weekend.